بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Before we start, I want to make two announcements, either for prayers. Our brother Hassan, who is a very active member of the Jamaat in Turkey, and it's through his help that we are doing a lot of work in countries outside Turkey. This morning he informed me that his mother is very ill, and he requested special prayers for her. So I request everyone to remember her in your prayers, in all your prayers, until we hear that she is well. And the second announcement is we have a dear friend in the United States, Anika, and because of pandemic and other things, he's feeling very isolated and lonely, etc. He doesn't know many people in the States. So I would ask you to pray to Allah to ease his burden as well. because loneliness can be a terrible thing. So let's start the Friday service with an apology that we are 5 minutes late starting due to some new equipment that we were trying to install. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We start with chapter 3, verse 6. Sorry, I'm on the wrong page. هو الذي أنزل عليك الكتاب منه آيات محكمات هن أم الكتاب وأخر متشابهات فأما الذين في قلوبهم ضيق فيتبعون ما تشابه منه ابتغاء الفتنة وابتغاء تعويله وما يعلم تعويله إلا الله والراسخون في العلم يقولون آمنا به كل من عند ربنا وما يذكر إلا أولو الألباب. He it is who has revealed the book to you. He it is who has revealed the book to you. Some of its verses are decisive. They form the basis of this book. Others are allegorical or metaphorical. Then those in whose hearts is perversity follow the part of it which is allegorical, seeking to mislead and seeking to give it their own interpretation. And none knows its interpretation save Allah, and those who are firmly rooted in knowledge. They say, we believe in it. It is all from our Lord, and none mind except men of understanding. As I said, this is chapter 3, verse 6. Sadaqallahu al-aliyyul azim. This is part of probably 2 or 3 khutbahs that will follow this week and the following week. And it's related to the memorials being held for 9/11, the 9/11 attack. As you know, that on that day, 2 planes crashed into the World Trade Towers in New York. One crashed into the Pentagon, and the passengers of the 4th plane, when they heard what was going to happen and what the hijackers had planned, they decided that they're going to die anyway, so they attacked the hijackers and crashed the plane, which was headed We don't know, but it's guessed that either for the White House or the Congress building. And I have recited this verse of the Holy Quran because of the last statement in it. We believe in it. It is all from our Lord. And this is very instructive. It's instructive. Why? Because people tend to take things in isolation. The tragedy of Twin Towers didn't just happen. And unless we look at the historical background, we will not be able to understand what gave rise to it. And in fact, this morning I was reading in The Guardian of that time, the letter that Osama bin Laden wrote. I guess he wrote it in Arabic and it was translated into English by someone, in which he tried to explain why this attack took place. Now, I've given this series of khutbahs the title 9/11, Do the Right Thing. Why? Because calamities around the world are happening, because politicians and governments are doing the wrong thing. They're taking something out of isolation and trying to address it. But more than that, those people are not concerned. They are not concerned with you and me. Their only concern is to get some strategic advantage for their country or their own people. The list of these things is endless. And because that is forgotten, that is why these heinous acts are perpetrated over and over again. Let me give you a couple of examples before I start with the background and to try and show you where the whole thing fits. And let me give you two examples. In the United States, or even Western Europe, a brown person attacks someone. He takes a gun, goes down, I don't know, some street in some town and starts shooting people. Wherever it happens, Berlin or Paris or London or New York or Washington, DC or whatever. All the news media immediately label it an act of terrorism. And they say a jihadi went down whatever it was street and shot innocent people. But if a white person does the same thing, no one says a man inspired by the Old Testament, which says to the Jews, when you conquer a town, kill all non-Jewish men, women, children, young, old. And inspired by that, this person got a gun and shot people dead. The man's religion is not mentioned. Immediately after 9/11, Sikhs complained. You know what they complained about? They complained about the fact that they'd be peacefully walking down a street in New York or Washington, D.C. or San Francisco, and suddenly a crowd would attack them and start beating them. I think 1 or 2 Sikhs were killed in New York just because of wearing a turban and just because they had a beard. And as I said, isn't it interesting? A white person does it, and it's a mentally unstable person who attacked this school or whatever. But if a brown person does it, no one even bothers to find out what his faith is, and it's immediately a jihadi terrorist. I'll give you another example. I was in Suriname at the time, and I saw this headline in New York Times. Muslim beats his wife to death. So I wrote to the editor and said, please explain to me, how is this man's religion relevant in this crime that he has committed? The editor didn't reply. Others started leaping up and down. And I asked them, hasn't a Christian ever beaten his wife to death? Hasn't a Hindu ever beaten his wife to death? Hasn't a Jew ever beaten his wife to death? Hasn't a Mormon ever beaten his wife to death? Did you mention those people's religion in the headline? What is the relevance of this man's religion to the crime that he has committed? And in a large measure, these things continue because all governments, all states, whether their population consists of a majority of Muslims or Hindus or Christians or whatever, they act hypocritically. Yes, they are hypocrites. There are some whose actions amount to the fact that they are criminals who should be tried for genocide. Colin Powell, George Bush, Tony Blair. They are criminals. They killed 1.5 million Iraqis. For what reason? Where are the weapons of mass destruction? Oh, sorry, we got it wrong. Well, tell that to the 1.5 million Iraqis you killed, and the country you destroyed, the country that had a free education system up to university level, the country that has a free healthcare system. You never mention any of these. Let's take another example which is more relevant to 9/11. In this heinous criminal act, 3,000 people died. 3,000 innocent men and women died. This was followed by drone attacks in Pakistan in which 30,000 innocent women and children died. 30,000, 10 times. Well, we are told that is collateral damage. Unfortunately, that happens in war. Well, gentlemen, remember Osama bin Laden? He said exactly the same thing. He said, I'm at war with the West. And this is collateral damage. I'm very sorry they're dead, but this is collateral damage. And in his letter to The Guardian, he went on further. He said, well, they paid their taxes, and with those taxes, the salaries of American soldiers were paid, and with those taxes, American soldiers were given guns and tanks and so on, which they used to kill Muslims. But at best you can say it was collateral damage. Oh, I'm very sorry. How are the two different? How are the two different? Explain that to me. And this takes us back to the Holy Quran, which says you have to look at the whole situation. You have to look at the whole book. You cannot cherry pick. You cannot pick things, events that suit you and ignore the rest. Let me give you another example. When Iraq was first attacked, all the Muslims raised a hue and cry. We are Muslims. This is Ramadan. We are fasting. We are told not to fast during Ramadan. Americans shouldn't have attacked Iraq during Ramadan. Well, I mean, one argument is that Americans who attacked Ramadan had Muslims in the army, but then they weren't overall Muslims. They were Christians or Jews or whatever, were atheists or whatever they were. So why should they be bound by rules of Islamic law? But then the most interesting point was this. Americans published a list of about, I don't know, I can't remember now, it was 18 or 20 attacks by one Muslim country against another Muslim country during Ramadan. And they asked this question, we are not Muslims, and you are telling us to observe these rules? You are Muslims. And yet your governments and your leaders and your armies were attacking each other during Ramadan. Take the long war between Iran and Iraq. That went on for many years. Do you think fighting ceased during Ramadan? Do you think fighting ceased at the time of Hajj? No. This hypocrisy does not do Islam any favors. This hypocrisy does not do Muslim countries any favor. This hypocrisy does not do Muslims any favor. This hypocrisy does not do the West and its people and its government any favors at all. $1.5 million Iraqis are killed, and those responsible for launching that attack. I still remember Mr. Tony Blair's statements in the parliament as Prime Minister. Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. They have missiles that can get to London in 3 minutes. And they have atom bombs. And for your information, Mr. Tony Blair, Russia and China also have missiles which can reach London in 3 minutes, and they have atom and hydrogen bombs. How's about attacking them? How about attacking them? No? I wonder why not. It is this hypocrisy by all leaders, whatever their religion, whatever their creed, whatever their caste, whatever their sect, that has led to atrocities against you and me. How many presidents have you heard? How many prime ministers have you heard? How many chiefs of staff have you heard were killed by these actions? It was you and me celebrating a birthday in Balochistan, and a drone will come and shoot you dead. But the question arises, Why does this happen? This happens because whereas God created one mankind, and the tribes and clans and families were there only for recognition. You know, just like you have surname in English, Shahid Aziz, or, you know, John Brown, or Boris Johnson, or whoever. There is no more use of tribes and families and castes and creeds than that. Why did Britain leave the EU? Oh, we have our own culture. We are in some way superior. We are better. We'll be better off. We have our own traditions. We are better. We'll show you how good we are. But the people who take these decisions, they're not the ones who are affected. And as I said, the sad thing is that if a weak person does something, it's an act of terrorism. If a strong person does something that kills a large number of people, what is it? Collateral damage. Collateral damage of 30,000 women and children in Pakistan, collateral damage of 1.5 million Iraqis in Iraq, collateral damage of all those Japanese who died in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, collateral damage of the Vietnamese who died in the Vietnam War when B-52 bombers were bombing North Vietnam day and night mercilessly, collateral damage of North Koreans. It's all collateral damage. But you prick a Westerner with something, even if it doesn't draw blood, and suddenly it's an act of terrorism. Sadly, Muslims have not set themselves up as any kind of an ideal that others should follow. Osama bin Laden wasn't an ideal that Muslims should be following, although he's been raised to the level of some kind of a hero. It doesn't make you a hero that if one person does the same thing, you do something that's equally wrong. What did Jesus mean when he said, turn the other cheek? What did he mean by that? Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, his instruction was, turn the other cheek. What he meant by that was that if someone else is doing wrong, you don't do wrong as well. But sadly, as I said, the Holy Quran says, and this is what these gentlemen, the so-called jihadis, do. They cherry pick. You know, the Holy Quran says, kill them wherever you find them. Yes, very true. Isn't this what you did to the Japanese during Second World War? Isn't this what you did to the Germans during the Second World War? Isn't this what you did to lots of other people? That you killed them wherever you found them. Or did you go to Germany and when a battle was taking place and you came across a German, you walked up to him and said, excuse me, are you a nice German or are you a nasty, horrible German? Because if you're a nasty, horrible German, I'm going to shoot you through the head. If you're a nice German, I'll share my sandwiches with you. So did you just shoot him in the head? But then go on to the next verse of the Holy Quran, which says, but if they stop fighting, you stop fighting as well. And that's the whole thing, the importance of this one sentence of the Holy Quran. We believe in all of it, the whole of the Holy Quran, the whole of this. And you can then extend that to the whole of your life, to the whole of your nation's life. And say that when we take decisions, we are going to take them in the light of all the circumstances and not cherry pick. If a white person who shoots down 50 school children is mentally disabled, so is the Muslim who does it. So is the brown person who does it. By going along the path that we are, all we are doing is stirring up hatred amongst people. And I was reading about the kids in America, primary school kids. They'd be in the playground and someone will run up to them, shout Allahu Akbar, and drop their backpack next to them and say, boom, you're dead. Because these weren't isolated incidents. 6 states in America have passed a law saying Sharia is forbidden by law. What does that mean? Sharia is forbidden by law. What, you're going to install a policeman in my house to make sure I don't say my 5 daily prayers, or that I don't fast during Ramadan? Unfortunately, each side tries to compete with the other to try and be the worst possible. Not the best possible, the worst possible. You slap me in the face, I'm going to hit you on the head with a brick. You hit me on the head with a brick, I'm going to stab you in the stomach. You stab me in the stomach, I'm going to shoot you. You shot me with the pistol, I'm going to get a machine gun. And so on. So next week, inshallah, I will try and deal with the historic context in which these things take place, and show that we are all responsible as human beings, whether we are Muslims or whether we are non-Muslims. The responsibility lies upon all of us. Because apart from the fact that we have Muslim sounding names, we haven't behaved in a way to cover ourselves in glory. We haven't taken the moral high ground, walked the high path. What we've done is we've said, oh, so you've got low morals. As far as human life is concerned, I'm going to show you my morals are even lower than yours. Let's see. We are competing in badness, not in goodness. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Qur'anil azim wa nafa'na wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim innahu ta'ala jawadun kareemun malikun barrufur rahim. Alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وجعلنا منهم واخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وجعلنا منهم عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده
ربنا.
الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Allahu Akbar. Sami Allahu liman hamidah.
ربنا
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة أستغفر الله أستغفر الله كل ذنب وأتوب اللهم انك السلام. Thank you for joining us for this Friday service. You might have noticed that I have taken a lesson from Netflix, that where one episode of some program ends, it ends at a point that you're keen to find out what happens in the next episode. I'm trying to organize my khutbah in exactly the same way. But unfortunately, whereas you can watch 20 episodes at one go on the television, you'll have to wait until next week for my next khutbah. If you have any comments, please do send them to us. We value your comments because they enable us to improve our service to you. Until we meet again next Friday, may Allah keep all of you safe and sound and free from harm, regardless of your religion, caste, creed, sect, nationality. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and